Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs. Yeah. Cabby, Taj.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chandler K from your Sports City Chefs Roundtable Gumbo on Thursdays. Doing a little finger food for Cole's Cookout tonight, where we're going to talk all things NBA. You know, and I happened to listen to my boy Sirius do his thing earlier, and he was talking about Morant and how the 25 games, and it should have been more, and and you know, not to disparage Sirius, because that's my man, but growth is not linear, people. Growth is not linear. And anyone who's ever made mistakes, anyone who's ever had to grow from making those mistakes knows what I'm talking about. Growth isn't linear. You made the same mistake a couple of times, more than a couple of times. And people are like, haven't you learned yet? No, you hadn't learned yet, because growth is not linear. It is hard to look inside. It is hard to have the conversations that you have to have with yourself. The hell with everybody else. That stuff that keeps you up at 3 o'clock in the morning when your eyes pop open and those thoughts are in your head and you have to look inside. That is a scary and a hard conversation to have. And we're asking a 23-year-old to do this instantaneously in front of everybody. Oh, and you better not make another mistake. That's ridiculous, because growth is not linear. Anyone who thought he would not make the same mistake again has never done any work on themselves, ever. And what we should be pointing at is the NBA's enablement of him with that 8-game pseudo suspension, which wasn't 8 games. It was 2 games. Because 6 of those days, he said, well, I'm going through therapy, when he was doing drive-through at McDonald's. That wasn't therapy. Because therapy don't take it. You don't get done with therapy in a week. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. So we don't want to point at the NBA for the nonsense that they did before this, because all they were worried about was getting him back on the court so they can make money. So they can put him on TV, and the advertisers. We don't want to talk about them. We don't want to talk about his parents, who are spending more time enjoying his fame and money than they are actually being parents. Okay? Yes, he has a whole lot of accountability here, but we're asking him to change overnight. That doesn't happen. This was supposed to happen. This second incident was supposed to happen, because growth isn't linear. This was supposed to happen. He needed something significant to happen to force him to say, okay, do I really want to do this work? And we will find out if he's doing the work, not in large ways, but in smaller ways, in his demeanor, in his conversations, in the words that he uses when he speaks. And then when he's 25, we'll compare him to 23. But we're not going to compare a 23-year-old to a 23-year-old from 2 months ago, because that ain't how change works. So if you upset that it happened again, then I suggest you take a look at you, because you ain't doing no work on yourself. So do some work on yourself before you start telling somebody else how quickly they need to change. The Bradley Beal thing. So let me get this straight. Bradley Beal went to Phoenix. Now, Phoenix supposed to win the championship, when Bradley Beal, who is a great player, great player, superstar, borderline superstar, is not a winning player, though, because you can't tell me that he hasn't had enough talent to get some of those Wizards teams to at least an 8th seed, because he has. Look at the talent on the roster. Tell me they shouldn't be an 8th seed. But the only time Bradley Beal ever made the playoffs was when John Wall was there and when Russell Westbrook was there. Oh, and by the way, in the playoffs, Bradley Beal has a tendency to disappear. So miss me with all of the Bradley Beal and Phoenix is suddenly a powerhouse. How? Who's the point guard? Because Bradley Beal can't create for himself. Bradley Beal can't break you down off the dribble. He's a catch and shoot guy. That's what he is. Oh, and by the way, he's going to take a bad shot at the worst possible moment. Just look at his time in Washington. And he doesn't make anybody better. So we got KD. I just want to hoop. I don't want to be a leader. I just want to hoop. Right? He ain't making nobody better. He ain't a leader by his own admission. We got Devin Booker. Okay, maybe he learned from Chris Paul. We'll see. And you got Bradley Beal. And the whole DeAndre Ayton thing is on Monty Williams. Because Monty Williams did the same thing when he was the coach of the Hornets. He would bury guys, not because they weren't talented, because he didn't like them. And he didn't want to be bothered actually having to coach someone that was hard to coach. He only wants to coach easy guys. So Detroit, you spent a lot of money for nothing because Monty Williams, I know everybody likes him. Oh, his wife died. Listen, miss me with all of that, bro. You got your sympathy. Okay? You are not a good coach because you only want to coach players that are easy to coach. You only want to, you don't want to coach anybody that actually requires you to be an actual leader. I watched DeAndre Ayton in college. That boy has a motor. He has a motor. But he got to Phoenix and he had a coach who decided that, well, I don't really like you. I don't want to run plays for you. This is a man who said after you buried him in the playoffs the previous year, you didn't talk to him the whole offseason. And nobody found that strange. Okay. Victor Wembanyama, going to be a star. Dame, I think you should come to the Knicks. I think they can give you the best package. But bottom line is Thursday is going to be bananas. And I hope you guys watch and pay attention. But I'm telling you now, Bradley Beal is not a winning player. So when the Phoenix Suns make the playoffs and Bradley Beal disappears, just remember who told you.
Sports City, Chef, Sports City, Chef, yeah. Cabby, Taj.